more comfortable now. So now I'll dedicate the next few minutes to talk about law in an age of transformation, which is quite interesting because I'm not a lawyer. So I hope that you take this as a compliment to your work. So let me start by asking you if law is being outpaced by our reality. Have you thought about that?
Yes.
Yes, very much, right? We've been here for a couple of days thinking about that. But let's take a minute to think about this reality. Let's start by climate emergency. I think everyone here is very aware of what's going on, right? So in order to achieve Paris Agreement, we have to reduce the world's economic activity to the level of the second quarter of 2020. If there is only one thing that I know of each one of you is where you were in the second quarter of 2020. Do you remember? You were at home. Everyone here was at home, locked down, over a billion people. Is it feasible for the next 85 years to reduce such activity to this level? I don't think so. It's not feasible. But that's the scenario that we're going to have if we do not reduce gas emissions, if we do not take action. And this year, we have COP30 to move from the age of negotiations to the age of implementation. There is no time for talk anymore. We have to take action. So this is part of our reality. Let's talk about inequality. When I was heading to the airport in São Paulo to come to Mexico, I heard the news that a white guy became the very first human to overcome over $500 billion in wealth. This person is likely to be the very first human to achieve $1 trillion in wealth. Let's take one more minute to really realize what means $1 trillion. Let's transform time in money, or vice versa. A median Latin America would have 20 hours of life, while this human being, likely to be the first trillionaire, would have over 300 centuries of life. This is the type of the distortion, the obscene distortion that we are talking about. This is reality. This is reality also. The polarization, the age of disinformation, fake news. This is also a reality that Latin America has not recovered from pandemic. Over 40 million Latin Americans lost jobs during the pandemic. We have a global economic stagnation. This is reality. But law is not necessarily responding to this reality, because law is based on stability, is based on precedent, is based on the tradition in a world that doesn't exist anymore, no longer exists. So this fundamental disconnect has led to a profound crisis of relevance. It's one of them that I want to elevate to you is the outdated framework. On the 13th of September of 1970, the Nobel laureate of economics, Milton Friedman, published an article. The title was, "The social responsibility of business is to increase its profits." I am sure that everyone here read this article at some point in your life. This article created a doctrine, the Friedman doctrine, created a primacy, the shareholder primacy, that shaped capitalism as we know. This framework created the paradigm that the business of business is business. How this framework is responding to the reality that we just discussed here in order to build a durable and shareable prosperity to all? I don't think so. It is responding to another reality. to create the very first human to have $1 trillion in wealth in a few years. Closer, actually, faster than we can end poverty in our planet. So this tension between law and reality has created another crisis, which is crisis of faith. A widespread disbelief in the social function of law and its economic institutions is very much noted today. So there is a lack of consideration of the rule of law and how it is really relevant to our context. And also, the disruption of technology, the advancement of technologies, including artificial intelligence, is, I'd say, diluting the traditional function of lawyers. And this has led to a hangover effect that some of you may have heard already, which means that businesses suffer from poorly constructed, AI-generated, lawyerless contracts whose weaknesses we can only perceive too late. This has created a context that the legal profession has to prove its value that goes much beyond just some tasks. So if that is true, the law is central to the construction and maintenance of the current economic order. The question that I have to you is, will law be an obstacle, a barrier, an impediment for solutions, for creativity, for solutions, for innovation, or law can be its greatest catalyst for the future that we really want to build? So law, definitely, the answer is yes, can be a catalyst, but law can be a vector of transformation. If that is true, in order to do so, we can use law, as Professor Ortega was saying, we can use law not just to mitigate risk, but also to proactively design and build better legal systems. So that requires a shift in the thinking of the main agent in this room, lawyers. A shift from harm to shaping systemic change, which means that we are moving much beyond than simply compensate for damages. We are proactively creating legal norms to shape better outcomes. And we are also doing this harmonizing with the guiding principles. We are moving towards a reality that we are recognizing that corporate voluntarism is not enough. We need to do more. So if that is true, we can redefine the legal profession from traditional lawyers to legal systems architects. Are you ready to change your business card? I hope so. So we can use the formative power of law to shape this new economic and social world that we want to see. So you might be asking to yourself, who are you, a non-lawyer, to tell us what law should be? First, I'm just a messenger. So do not sue me, please. Second, I am an ally. And third, I'm someone who lawyers like a lot. I'm a witness. And I've been witnessing a movement of a group of impact lawyers who is leading, creating a network around a bold and clear purpose around legal impact. This group of lawyers is creating a community of practices and eventually will change norms and culture, a new way of thinking and doing. This group of lawyers is tackling transformational governance. And speak on behalf of BILAB, this group of lawyers understood the importance of evidence. And we've created evidence that is possible. 10,000 certified big corporations have adopted a legal requirement, a legal language written by many of these impacted lawyers across over 100 countries. This group of lawyers also understood that 10,000 certified B Corps is a remarkable number, but it's far from enough. According to the World Bank, we have over 125 million businesses in our planet. So how can we unlock, empower, and support every single business in our planet to behave like B Corp with purpose, accountability, transparency, purpose of positive impact? This group of lawyers understood that it's no longer possible just to compensate negative impact. We need to create positive impact in the work environment, value chain, business model. This group of lawyers also understood that we need to create legal instruments to consider stakeholders in the decision-making short and long term. This is accountability. This is stakeholder governance. The World Economic Forum has talked a lot about stakeholder capitalism, but there is no stakeholder capitalism if we do not build infrastructure for these stakeholders. That's why transformational governance is so much important. Stakeholder governance is so important. This group of lawyers also understood that transparency changes behavior. By commitment with transparency, by measuring, managing, reporting, impact, these businesses are really thriving. So purpose, accountability, transparency. This group of lawyers have embedded these three elements in a movement to change the rules of the game. It's been called benefit corporations. We've passed this law in over 50 jurisdictions in collaboration with this group of lawyers, impact lawyers, if I may. This group of lawyers also had different understandings. Changing the rules of the game is important, but it is still a voluntary adoption. We need to give one step forward, and we need to innovate in governance. We've discussed here Nature on Board. We've discussed the Better Business Act in the United Kingdom. We've discussed with these impact lawyers that we need to build bridges with capital markets. And that's the project that we have at the B Lab called the B Corp Index that has 69 publicly traded companies, certified B Corps, in the large stock exchange that we are prototyping a new index to prove to investors in capital markets that it's truly possible to behave like B Corp in capital markets. So this is transformational governance that this group of lawyers, they have done already. But it's also important but not enough. This group of lawyers also has created new markets, new value chains, because they believe and they understand the role of government. Government as a market player, relevant market player. Over 12% of the regional GDP in Latin America, for those who are not from this region, come from public procurement. So indeed, governments can play an important role to enable, to foster, to facilitate, to nudge, to promote a new economic paradigm. I have a call. Sorry. These public procurements is also important instrument from these lawyers that they enabled that public procurement is not only about cost and price. We need to include other lanes, including impact. And finally, this group of lawyers have created an economic policy platform to raise capital flow, to increase the number of impact businesses, to strengthen intermediaries, to enable an institutional environment that is more favorable to this new economic paradigm. So the best news here is that this group of impact lawyers does exist. And the best news yet is that this group is here in this room. So I really, really look forward to continuing working with you to build an inclusive, equitable, and regenerative economic system to all people in our planet. Thank you so much.